I was working in TV at the time, and in my circle of friends I was noticing that people of faith who were working in the media were either finding the media so difficult that they were leaving it and moving into purely Christian entertainment, or they were kind of leaving their faith behind. So there was no real understanding of how we can integrate our faith with working in the media in New Zealand. That was the idea behind starting Salt. We had this idea to do like a media version of The Dragon's Den, which was on TV at the time. And so we put together this panel of dragons, and we had these amazing concepts presented to us. And one of them was from Steve Hathaway. So he was an underwater photographer, creating the most beautiful imagery, showing us parts of creation that have just gone unseen before. And when we talked to him about how his faith was influencing what he was doing, he wasn't really able to articulate that. And the first year that we did it, he presented his idea, and he didn't win, but he applied again, and he presented his idea for Young Ocean Explorers with his daughter Riley. And the way that it was communicated at that point was that this is actually a really valid thing for us to be doing. He had kind of changed to actually integrating his faith with what his craft was and what he was creating, and the idea that it was completely valid and completely Christian to be revealing this beautiful creation that God has supplied us with was quite a highlight for me. There was a shift in that 2 years.
So when Salt started, I was a journalist at TVNZ and had just moved to Prime News and was pretty stoked that something like Salt was around. For me as well, I was so interested in how the gospel can actually inform story and media. So beyond just ethics and being a good person in the media, actually surely the gospel has way more to tell us about that. My experience when I was a journalist, I wasn't having all these crazy confrontational scenarios because I was a Christian. I was faced with things like Pike River and the Christchurch earthquake, as a journalist, and you were seeing some pretty horrific things. I found that people just more wanted to know they're not alone.
I think the standout event for me is probably when Phil and Frank did after work drinks in Wellington and 2 people showed up. And not at the same time. No, seriously, sorry guys, appreciate that you did that. When Phil and Julia started the conversation around would Salt be a good thing to start, they sat down with people, and one of the things that they kept hearing was, I think I might be the only Christian here, I feel quite isolated, it can be quite lonely. And looking now over 10 years, we really don't hear that anymore. People know that they're not the only Christian and working in media, and they don't feel isolated because they've met other Christians that work in their workplaces. So that's been really huge.